Hey, get inspired, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Life Inspired. We thank you for watching this on either YouTube or Facebook or inspiredhomes.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. That really helps us. And if you're on Facebook, please like our Facebook page. That helps us too. And share this with whomever you think needs to hear this awesome story that we're about to tell. If you've never tuned in before, Life Inspired is about turning points. Life Inspired is about life was going along and then ... God stepped in and did something, and then has you walk in a new path that's different than it was before. And why does he have you walk in that way, and then how do you stay inspired? So our guest today is the very wonderful Michelle, and it's Nicholos, right?
Yes.
Michelle Nicholos. I actually have another person that I know named Michelle Nicholos too.
Is that
So
right?
I think it's spelled differently than your name though.
Well, yes, because I spell it the correct way. Just saying.
There you go. So you have quite a story. I know just a little bit about some of your childhood and your adulthood and life. What part of that would you like to just kind of talk about today? Tell us about like growing up years and getting married years, because there's people that go through some of what you've talked about.
Well, growing up years, I mean, from the outside, it would look just normal as anybody else.
Okay.
And, but I grew up just with some rifts in the family, and that was just because of somebody's bad decision, who was the biological dad, and, but he ended up kind of keeping my older brother and sister.
Right.
And because his girlfriend was jealous, and it's my biological mom, my biological dad, but his girlfriend was jealous, so he stopped seeing me when I was about 2. But that caused some rifts. It hurt my sister and my brother. He would come and pick them up for visitation, I guess, and there I am, a toddler looking out the window, and and they were, had questions as let me see, if I was 2, they were 12 and 8 and 12, something like that. So they were young.
Yeah.
And but anyhow, that has been a huge underlying thing for me. But I was so blessed. My mom got remarried, and my stepdad adopted me probably when I was about 10.
Right.
And so he was my hero,
Yeah.
and he was my hero for a long time. And I think just because of some underlying things and some family things, I had dealt with depression from a very young age.
Right.
And
Life's just hard.
yeah.
So you did share with me that you, even as a child, had suicidal thoughts.
I did, and I didn't remember that, and I didn't remember those actions until later in life.
And when you were 16, you did attempt
And
suicide?
when I was 16, I attempted suicide.
Do you remember that?
Vividly.
Okay.
Vividly.
So what were the circumstances that, do you remember what led up to you feeling that it was that terrible?
Well, I had battled depression for so long anyhow.
Right.
And then, just, so it was a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of thing.
Okay.
And then another family member got involved, saying, trying to support me, saying, "Oh, he's not good enough for you." And I kind of knew the truth, and so anyhow, it was just one huge horrible evening, and I just went, no,
I'm
no.
done. And God said, "You're not done yet. You have to stick around."
He did, and
So then you got married, and then you had some children, and then the marriage ended. And so
Yes.
you're a single parent.
I was a single parent for 13 years, and before that, and I was able to hang on, I think, through therapy and through who God sent me. But before that, before I even had my first child, I had gone through another bad episode of depression.
Okay.
And that one just worked itself out, I think, because I was an adult, and I think because God just decided that time was that time.
Right.
But I had decided, and it was depression. I don't remember that it was after my grandmother's death, but I don't remember anything bringing it on necessarily.
Right. Okay.
And So I was at work in the morning, and I knew my husband was going to go off to this retreat, and it was a church retreat.
Okay.
And I knew he was leaving that night, and I had just decided, this is what I'm going to do. And I had it planned out. I was like, yep, that's it. I'm done after tonight. So I was at work, and I mean, I just had it planned. It was set. This is what I'm going to do. And all of a sudden, I pick up the phone, and I call my sister. I say, hey, what are you doing tonight? I'm not doing anything. Like, I had no reason to pick up the phone and do that.
You were planning to kill yourself again.
Yeah. And
but God
and I ended up going to their house and spending the evening. And I think, I don't know, maybe I even stayed overnight, because I think my husband was gone for the weekend at this retreat, at least overnight. Oh, it was overnight. It was a youth retreat. I remember it.
Okay.
And several weeks later, we were at church, and the pastor had, after it was done, the pastor had called Andy and I both up, and he said, man, I just had this kind of intervention, or I'm not sure how he explained it, but this really strange thing happened to me that's never happened. And basically he was doing his morning prayers, his every day
right.
thing during the week, and he all of a sudden was just so overwhelmed, and he said he fell to his knees crying and was just told to pray for me. And so we went back. I'm like, well, when was this? And blah, blah, blah. And found out, well, he said it was it was right before the weekend of the youth retreat. And I went, youth retreat, Andy was leaving. And that was that morning where I just all of a sudden picked up a phone and called my sister.
So you found out later, after the whole thing, that somebody else was praying for you when you were thinking about killing yourself.
Right.
And because somebody's prayers, God kept you alive and had you randomly call your sister up that night. That's crazy.
That morning when I knew that I had decided what I was going to do. I was at work, and if I had gone home, I'm a pretty stubborn person, so if I had gone home,
you would have
sure,
through.
I'm sure. And you know, and after that, it's kind of like I just knew that I knew that I knew. And
that God saved you and spared your life.
That God saved me. And you know, the Bible stories, they're not just stories. They're you know, and his word, it's the living word. And all of a sudden I went, this is the living word. It's living, you know. And yeah. So, and I think then fast forward to a husband leaving. I had said, we had problems, and I said, through counseling, had said, let's, you know, a temporary separation. And I think we had planned like 3 months or something like that, or, you know, and he was like, yeah, I'll do the counseling, I'll do this, I'll do that. And, but, you know, he had, I guess, other plans, or maybe he didn't want to work. I really don't know what happened. But it was quite some time before that I kind of went, he's not coming back.
Right.
So,
so now I'm a single mom.
Yes.
And I have to go do that.
But I had such support from my family. It was just amazing.
That's awesome.
And, but I, you know, also had a counselor to where when it did get bad, I took his advice, and if it gets really bad, and all you could do is lay in bed and say, God, you're good. God, you're good. God, you're good. Even if that's all you think you have, that's a lot. And that's going to get you through.
Yeah.
So I think because of just God showing himself in my life earlier on, that I was able to know what to cling to.
Right. That's awesome. Very cool. So you also told me you were married a second time, and that second marriage also failed. And because he was a pastor, you thought something must be wrong with me because he's a pastor, right?
Always. You know, I remember, and it was something over the kids, and we were talking, and I was driving on my way to work, and we were talking. And what he was saying just didn't make sense to me. And again, I'm thinking it must be me. And, you know, I'm not sure that even my family knows, but I was driving to work, and it was on a county road, and it was at a stop sign where the traffic couldn't go real fast.
Right.
And there was a truck coming, and I thought, I could just go out in front of it. And again, it had to have been God, because I was right there. I was that low. I was that confused.
Right.
But you know, so many times I'm like, you know, thank you. I don't remember reaching out to him, which shows his faithfulness.
Yeah, he was holding on.
You know, which shows his faithfulness, because I wasn't reaching out. I was trusting that this guy was a pastor who he said he was, and
right.
Yeah. So even when I was putting my faith in the wrong things, he was still there. And
I love that. I mean, there's a Bible verse that says, even when we're unfaithful, he remains faithful. I don't remember the passage, but I know there's a Bible verse that says, even when we're unfaithful, he remains faithful. Mm-hmm. And so I love your story.
And the latest, and I've just heard it recently, but if you're not close to God, you know who walked. It wasn't God.
That's
true. You know who walked away.
Yeah. Where'd you get that? Because that's so true.
I have no idea.
But that is it. Because he's right there. I mean, really, all you have to do is just turn around. Mm-hmm. He's right there the whole time. He's with you. He's following you. He's with you. You just have to turn around and face him, and he's there. That's awesome. Well, I know a lot of viewers have suicidal thoughts. It is rampant. My daughter is like 21, and she knows so many people that have struggled with it from her generation. And there's people in our generation, and it's just rampant.
And a tragedy is, some churches preach against medication. And I had to battle that too with a church that we attended when my kids were little.
And medication helped you, is what you're saying?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the last time there was, I can't remember, it was a couple of years ago, and I tried to go off again. And I did. And it had been like a year. And I went into my doctor and I said, I've had enough. She says, you quit on your own? Well, yeah. You're not taking anything? I said, yeah. She's just like, wow, you must, and again, it's not me. Right. It's God who was strong. It wasn't me.
Right.
But,
so you did go off your meds now, and you're not on them?
Don't do it. Don't ever do it. I'm serious.
Don't go off the meds.
Don't ever. Okay. I am fortunate. It must have been a blessing. It must have been God blessing me, because it's so hard. And then for me, each time I had gone off, and I had done this several times over my lifetime, but then I go back on it, and all of a sudden, like one morning I wake up and I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, there you are. I mean, it's just so, it's so surreal. It really is.
Wow. Would you, if somebody wanted to sit down and have coffee with you and talk about how they feel and what they're going through, would you have time for that?
Oh, I would always have time for that. I try to keep an eye out for that.
Okay.
For, is anything bothering you? What's,
right.
Just to try and keep a pulse on at least the people who I'm around.
Right.
I try to. I hope I do a good job.
Yeah, there's so much to not know what to look for. You know what I mean? So, like, we lost a friend to suicide in December. And this is a very, very dear friend of my husband. We had no idea. No idea. Not a clue. So, you guys, if you are thinking about it, please tell somebody that you're thinking about it. You don't have to go through it alone. There's people that love you, and you don't have to go through it alone. So,
and it may not even be because you may be feeling so alone, and you may even think, oh, my family would reach out if they, surely my family would. So what I'm trying to say is, if you talk to somebody, you could get help from somebody you have no idea is going to be able to help you. You don't know who God's going to put in your path.
Right.
And you may see your family every day and think, oh, well, they're not going to help me, or they won't understand. Talk to somebody, because you don't know who God's going to put in your path.
Right. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so
Thanks.
much. If you guys want to have coffee with Michelle, message us. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great week. Bye-bye.